My name is Diane Bolden. I'm an executive coach and leadership development and organization effectiveness consultant. And my business is around helping business professionals who are tired of feeling like work is sucking the life out of them and ready to rise above the pressure and the stress to make a bigger impact doing meaningful work that's inspiring to them and others, and still live a fulfilling life both on and off the job. Before I found Mirasee, most of my work has been one-on-one. I do a lot of executive coaching and some consulting, but I was only able to reach so many people at a time. And I'm incredibly creative. I've got a lot of projects and things that are in my head, and some of which have come to fruition, including a book that I published. But I found myself stopping short of executing and really getting things out there. So I've given away more copies of my book than I've sold. I have programs that I've developed and poured a lot of time and energy into that I've never properly launched. And I have all kinds of ideas for things I want to do that I have not given justice to. I decided to join the Course Builders Laboratory because I felt as though it would really give me a good shot at actually getting something done. I had published my book, The Pinocchio Principle, Becoming a Real Leader, in 2011, and I've always wanted to have a course that would allow people to go deeper into the concepts and give them more of an experience that would be transformational. And I've actually been through a lot of workshops in the past, and there's a lot of great information out there, but I was totally overwhelmed. And I also felt like a lot of the encouragement I had been hearing was to develop something that, the ultimate goal was to make a bunch of money and to have something that would be scalable, but wouldn't necessarily result in the kind of transformation that I really want to give my clients. So that's what really impressed me when I first heard about the Course Builders Laboratory and Diane, is that he's very committed to giving people an experience that goes beyond just getting an information out of a fire hose. So the Mirasee team offers an unprecedented amount of support. Like I said before, I was just blown away at what was offered. And if I had questions, if I was insecure about something, if I was doubting myself, all I had to do was fire off an email to my coach, and she got it. She understood. She didn't minimize it. I didn't feel like she was judging me for what I was going through. She validated it, and then she helped me get over that hump, and she offered great suggestions, and she pointed me to different things that I might want to watch or rewatch. And I think just knowing that somebody was there, honestly, that was the hugest thing. And it's inspired me to build that into my own courses because I've experienced the power of that. I think what helped me the most in the process of building my pilot was having a step-by-step process so that it didn't feel totally overwhelming. And like I said, in the past, I've taken courses, online courses, I've gone to seminars where there's a huge amount of information and all kinds of videos to watch or steps to take, and it just feels completely overwhelming. And it gets to the point where you don't know what to do first, and you really don't, there's not an if-then. So oftentimes those other programs will tell you is here's the ideal way, but it doesn't cover what happens when you fall into this or you fall into that. So I think what was really helpful was having the basic building blocks. It was like, well, do this before you even think about that. And ultimately, here's where you're gonna wanna go. But for now, just focus on getting this done. And oh, by the way, you have somebody that you can check in with that's gonna give you feedback to make sure that you're on the right track before you're off and running a million miles in the wrong direction and you have to come back and get all irritated and frustrated and feel bad about that. So I feel like it kept me on track. I feel like my coach helped me avoid the kinds of pitfalls that would have really led to a lot of wasted time and effort and frustration. So the Course Builders Laboratory helped me change my approach because a lot of what I did in the past was in my head, and I am a huge perfectionist. So I would dream and scheme and design and have something, but I didn't feel like it was good enough. I questioned it, I sat on it, I felt like it needed more, and then I would procrastinate, and I spun around in a lot of circles, And I don't feel like I made the impact that I could have made because I kind of talked myself right out of my dreams. I felt like I didn't really know how to execute on them, and I had plenty of other consulting and coaching work. So it kind of pushed some of that to the background because I didn't have the courage to just get out there and the confidence, and I didn't feel like I really knew what I was doing. And so I think the biggest thing that Course Builders Laboratory helped me with was just getting me out of my head and helping me to start before I was ready. And I loved the idea of designing a pilot and really testing it and getting a few people together to see how it went over and then getting feedback and then scaling it. Because in the past, I would have just tried to develop the whole darn thing from scratch, and then, it's like building in a vacuum. You don't know if anything's on point. You feel like you're, talking to an empty room and hoping that somebody's gonna wander in and really like what you're saying. And so that was a total 180 for me. So I think one of the most major revelations was zeroing in on a target audience, and not just the target audience, but really zeroing in on what are the issues and problems and challenges that the people who I'm wanting to serve are facing. Particularly with, when you have a book, it's easy to think everything you wrote about is something everybody needs. And what I loved about the Course Builders Laboratory is that it helped me zone in on what is the biggest challenge and problem that my clients are experiencing. And at first I was kind of afraid that I was going to have to totally rework everything, that, what if I find out their challenge has nothing to do with anything I've written? But it actually was the contrary. What I found is that people had a challenge that now I knew how to kind of frame the book and my course in such a way that it would really help them solve a problem they haven't been able to solve before. And that was hugely instrumental. So doing a lot of the research and interviewing, I think a lot of people find that really cumbersome, and I did too. I was like, oh, really? I have to go talk to all kinds of people and, think about what are all these themes, but it was probably the biggest transformation for me in terms of really getting clear on how I can position this in such a way and getting the energy myself to be able to create something and promote it. One of the biggest challenges that I hit was, and I think everybody hits this when you go to promote your pilot, and the people who you initially talked to that told you all about their biggest challenges and, oh, if there was only something out there that would help me with this, that I really thought were going to sign on, didn't. So it was really hard. It was hard to get people to enroll in the course. And, I think without having CBL there, I may have just done what I've done in the past and said, oh, well, obviously this is not meant to be, or it's not going anywhere, or there's something else I need to do. And because I was enrolled in Course Builders Laboratory, and because I had a coach that was encouraging me to just keep at it, keep plugging away, I did that. And just because I hung in there and did that, I had people who signed up at the last minute. I ended up, my pilot I was pretty satisfied with the number of people who signed on. Of course, you'd always want more, but that was a huge help. And like I said, I don't know that I would have necessarily stuck it out there to do that without that encouragement and that support. Another challenge that I had is, it's kind of ironic because a lot of what my course teaches is helping people to kind of detach from their outcomes and engage in the experience and really enjoy their work. And I found that after I did my pilot, I got a little attached to wanting to make it even better, make it perfect, and I had to go back and kind of remind myself of the concepts that I was teaching, and again, get out of my head and really back into the experience. And Course Builders Laboratory helped me with that too. So I had in total 11 people go through it. Some were more involved and active than others. I made probably about $3,700, which more than paid for the investment in the Course Builders Laboratory, which I was pleased about. What I loved about it was that the people who were really engaged in it felt as though it made a big difference in their lives. And I had people who were telling me even after the course had ended about how they were able to do something that they wouldn't have been able to handle in the past, and they were able to use these concepts to really get through something that was troubling. I had a great, just a lot of fun talking to people about their experiences and what it led them to be able to do and overcome. The surprising thing was that when I had a moment where I was concerned that I wasn't going to have enough people to launch the course. And so what I decided to do was I decided to offer the course as a bonus to some of my existing coaching clients. And what it did was it allowed me to boost my enrollment by a little bit, but the surprising thing is the people who were most engaged and got the most out of the course were the people who paid. And I suppose, I know there's a lot of people who I've talked to who say that's really not surprising at all. People tend to do what they pay for, but I found that intriguing, and it made me feel better in the future about charging for my stuff. It was exhilarating. It was fantastic. I felt so alive during that whole process, and it was a little scary too. It was almost like riding a roller coaster, where there's all this excitement going on, and every once in a while you get these little flip-flops in your stomach, and I felt all of that. And I think what was so unique about it was I was literally designing my course as I went, which is something I never would have done in a million years. And the reason why that was so gratifying is because I had people who were hungry for it. I had somebody who I was serving, and I knew that I was on the line to really do something that was going to help them. So it got me out of my tendency to kind of question myself and get too wrapped up in how is this going to be perceived, so that I could really instead focus on service. It was more about the people that I was serving than it ever was about myself. And that gave me the most amazing feeling of fulfillment. And it just makes me want to go do more. So I loved that. I would say that the Course Builders Laboratory is like a hidden gem amidst a mass of glittering objects, and it's the real deal. Like I said, the level of service, the level of care and support is exceptional. The whole Mirasee team, they believe in what they're doing, they care about their students, and they have a structure that allows people to do the things that they haven't been able to do on their own. So I highly recommend it. I feel as though it's allowed me to do so much that I've never been able to do on my own, and I'm still being supported. And what I love about the Course Builders Laboratory is even after I'm done with this pilot, I get to go back and design more, and I'm still going to be supported. And that's incredible. So what I would say in a nutshell is don't give it another thought. Invest in it. You'll be so glad you did. You'll be thanking yourself for years to come.